The smell of motor oil and hot metal filled the small garage. On the edge of town, the kind of place where old radios hummed quietly, and stories were told in grease and sweat. David Wilson wiped his hands on a rag, eyes steady on the worn-out car engine before him. He'd been a mechanic for 12 years, a man with a calm voice, sharp mind, and hands that knew how to bring broken things back to life. That morning, a black luxury sedan pulled up, the kind of car you'd only see in the city. The driver door opened, and a woman stepped out in heels that didn't belong on cracked concrete. Her name was Melissa Carter, CEO of Carter Innovations, one of the biggest tech companies in the region. Every eye in the garage turned to her. "Is the manager here?" she asked, her tone dripping with impatience. David stepped forward, wiping the grease from his hands. "That'd be me, ma'am. What seems to be the problem?" She raised an eyebrow. "You? The manager?" Then she laughed softly, not cruelly at first, but with the kind of disbelief that stung more than open mockery. "My car broke down on the way to a board meeting. My assistant said this was the closest garage. Can you fix it?" David nodded. "I can take a look right now." She crossed her arms. "Well, I hope you're faster than you look." He said nothing, just opened the hood and got to work. Minutes passed. Her heels tapped impatiently against the floor. Finally, she sighed. "You know what? This is taking forever. Tell you what, if you can get this thing running before I miss my meeting, I'll marry you." The guys in the garage chuckled under their breath. David didn't flinch. He only said quietly, "Then I better get started." There was something in his tone, not pride, not anger, but quiet confidence. He bent over the engine, listening to its heartbeat, diagnosing it by touch and sound. 15 minutes later, the engine roared back to life. Melissa's laughter stopped cold. She stared at him. You actually fixed it?" David smiled faintly. "Told you I would." She blinked, embarrassed, then laughed again, softer this time. "You really don't take jokes, do you?" He shrugged. "Ma'am, when it comes to engines, I don't joke much." She looked at him differently now. "You're good at what you do." David only nodded. "I try to be." Before she left, she paused at the door. "What's your name again?" "David. David Wilson." She smiled. "Well, David Wilson, thank you. Maybe I'll see you again." He just nodded, wiping his hands again, watching as the car disappeared down the road. A few days later, the same black sedan pulled up again. Only this time, there was no broken engine. Melissa stepped out, holding a cup of coffee. "I figured the least I could do was bring a thank you," she said, handing it to him. David took it, a little surprised. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," she said simply. "You reminded me that hard work still exists outside boardrooms." They talked for a while, about life, about work, about dreams. And then, she saw the framed photo of a younger David beside a small airplane engine. "You worked with planes?" she asked. He nodded. "Yeah. Used to be an aviation mechanic before the company downsized. The garage was my way to keep doing what I love." Something changed in her eyes, respect, maybe admiration. Weeks passed, and Melissa kept visiting. Sometimes with car troubles, sometimes with lunch, sometimes just for conversation. The more they talked, the more she realized David wasn't just a man who fixed engines. He fixed people's faith in humility, one kind act at a time. One rainy afternoon, her car stalled again. She called David, half laughing, half frustrated, and he came to help her, this time at the roadside. While he worked under the hood, she said quietly, "Do you remember that day I said I'd marry you if you fixed my engine?" David smiled faintly. "Hard to forget." "Well," she paused, voice soft but sure, "I didn't realize that fixing engines wasn't the only thing you were good at. You fixed something in me, too." For the first time, David looked up, really looked at her. And in the reflection of the car window, they both saw it, how far they'd come from that day in the garage. If you're still watching, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, because stories like this one remind us that respect, humility, and love are worth everything. That day, Melissa didn't drive away immediately. She waited until the rain stopped, until David finished packing his tools. And when he turned to say goodbye, she smiled softly and said, "Maybe it's time I keep my promise." David chuckled. "Which one?" She laughed. The same laugh that once mocked him, now full of warmth. The one about marrying the man who could fix my engine. And for the first time in that little roadside moment, both of them realized some promises, no matter how they start, are worth keeping.